one weird skill that if you can master will make you millions of dollars. I know it's a crazy title, and yes, there's some clickbait involved here, but I'm gonna share with you a bizarre meta skill that I wish someone would have told me a long time ago as it relates to business. You see, in business, everyone talks about tactics, how to run your Facebook ads, how to do direct response marketing, how to create a ClickFunnels setup, but they miss the real meta skill. And the real meta skill is pretty damn simple. It's empathy. Everybody's saying, Sumner, that seems so weird. I'm not talking about being an empath or anything along those lines. But ultimately, empathy has been the skill that has taken me further in my entrepreneurial journey than just about anything else. Now, sure, having staying power and grit and all those things is certainly helpful. I don't want to downplay those. But if I had to go and actually say, like, what makes me different or what allows me to have a foot above the competition, ultimately it's empathy. Now, empathy plays out in two ways. I've always heard where people say, Sumner, you're pretty good at sales. The irony is I've got no formal sales training. I don't think I'm that good at sales. I don't know the sales techniques or anything along those lines. I'm pretty ignorant on sales, but what I'm good at is understanding people. And so I was just going through it. And the reason that this is on my mind is I actually just went and rebuilt a lot of our sales process for our organizations. And I had a friend who went through and just reviewed it. And he's a sales coach and salesperson. And he's really deep in sales. And he's like, dude, this is weird. Like, did you go and study this? I said, no, I just put myself in the shoes of a prospect and said, this is what would make sense to me. He's like, yeah, that's it. And so how did I know that? Well, I think I knew that because I can put myself in the shoes of people that I'm doing business with. And in the same vein, I can identify problems to solve, which ultimately is how we get paid as entrepreneurs, by putting myself in the shoes of masses, of lots of people. So on the micro, I can put myself into the skill of being empathetic to understand my prospects when I'm actually selling one-to-one. On the macro, I can identify big problems to solve with big rewards because I can put myself in the shoes of the masses, at least for certain cohorts. I would say, like anyone, my empathy is limited to certain cohorts. I don't understand everything. I don't understand all audiences or all groups of people. And that's why all the businesses that I've built in the recent years have all been under one domain, under one umbrella, which is flipping land, because I understand that audience. I understand their fears. I understand their problems. I understand their dreams. So yes, this is partially limited to areas that you have an understanding with. But I see so many folks out there that are building things based off of their own itch. And that might work sometimes, but I think statistically, those are outlier situations. What I really want to think about is putting myself in the shoes of folks and understanding what are their pains, what are their desires, what are their dreams, and being able to understand that. And sometimes it's not the same thing that applies to me, but that ability to think outside of myself is such an immense skill set. The next thing is once you actually start identifying a problem to solve and you start bringing in customers, we also want to think about, well, how do we keep people coming back? How do we keep folks to where they actually have a great experience? How do we have folks that actually want to go and tell their friends about what you do? How do you have folks that never want to leave your product or service? Well, ultimately, again, I think it comes back to empathy. Do I understand the experience of what it's like for someone to do business with? Can I understand the gaps, the disconnects, the problems, and can I try to work on solutions there? And ultimately, I am not saying I'm perfect. I actually have awareness around a lot of the problems that exist in our businesses today. Doesn't mean I have solved all of them or know how to solve all of them. And doesn't mean I will solve all of them. There's some problems that aren't worth solving. So I'm not saying just become a problem-solving machine and just solve every problem in front of you. But this is a deep, deep meta skill that I think a lot of people are lacking. And I think partially the reason is that entrepreneurship often is posed as a very selfish game. Most people are thinking about enriching themselves, bettering themselves, lifting their kind of status in the social hierarchy. There's a lot of that going on in the business world. And in that process, people have forgot about what's really important. I feel like back in the day, I would have been the barterer 500 years ago, bartering swords or sticks or whatever, just in my blood. And in that, I think the real skill is understanding people. And so if you are looking to change your financial destiny and you're looking to become good at business, let's just hit pause for a second on all the technical skills. Right? All these YouTube videos are about how to set up your CRM and how to set up your Facebook ads manager, to run LinkedIn ads, and then it doesn't work. Well, why is that? Well, because you haven't mastered what actually is important. I feel like drop me in any country and I think I could recreate a lot of this over again. As long as I could learn the language and understand a demographic or an audience, I could recreate this because I know the meta skill. Put me on any platform, it doesn't really matter. And hopefully on some level, maybe you can even feel that in the content that I create here. Yes, on some level, I enjoy creating this content and it also scratches an itch for me. But when I think about content ideas, I try to think about, well, what's relevant to my audience? What is going to be of most value to my audience? So yeah, it's a short one today. Empathy. It's a great skill to master. It's kind of a buzzword that I think it gets used in all sorts of weird manners. And I don't even think I'm necessarily an empath or anything along those lines. I don't think I'm special at all. I just think I've paid attention to this and I'm aware of it. And sometimes awareness is all it takes. We all have the ability to be empathic. We all have the ability to think outside of ourselves and put ourselves in the shoes of someone else or a larger audience. It's actually innate to what it means to be a human. I think the best entrepreneurs really understand this.